Hi, so welcome to this new series, which is called On the Other Side. And I think I'm going to be speaking about a few different things. And in this particular one, and this particular focus is going to be on the other side of plant medicines. And ultimately, what that really means is just for those of us who have gone down and adventured with the plants and have decided to then come out on the other side and basically walk away and experience something different. Many people have walked away for many different reasons, but I just wanted to bring a highlight to this conversation because I feel like it's quite rare. It's not something that happens a lot. I know that in the circles of plant medicines, it's quite usual to just experience it and then just stay there and not necessarily know that there is another route, there is another path, there is another side, and also the reasons why some people may stop and change their trajectory and change their life, which I find all really really fascinating. And I have actually stumbled into, obviously maybe it's because it's my path, but I've met a lot of people who have and are embarking on this journey. And again, it's really important that I emphasize that it's really not about debunking and saying bad things and speaking badly about the plants, because I don't think that is the way it works. And I know from my own experience that I've learned so much and I gained so much. And I'm very, very grateful for the experience that I had, the people that I worked with. Like I've met some amazing people. And the shamans that I've worked with have been incredible, like next level, powerful initiations I have experienced personally. So it's really not about saying that. And it's very easy when this conversation comes up to just default to, oh, yeah, no, it's not good, it's not good, it's not good. And there are many reasons why it might not be beneficial because of certain things, which is why it's so important to heighten the discernment and be very cautious about what you're who you're working with and all of these different things that it's widely spoken about, to be in the right environment, to be in the right setting, and all of these things. But at the same time, it's just remembering that these things is very important to remember that it's not black and white, and it's not just, oh yeah, now we've stepped away, it's bad. It doesn't really work like that. And more of a reflection of being grateful for the journey and then knowing that there's more basically on the other side. So, this is an introduction. I think I will speak a bit on my personal journey, but I really want to open the conversation with other people. So, I don't want to just speak to the camera. No, I'm speaking to you, I know now. But I don't want to just speak. I like to have a conversation with other people so that we can reflect upon each other and expand through the sparks that we create amongst each other. So, along this process, I'll speak to different people, and through that, we will be, learning different things, and I will be sharing parts of my journey as well, I guess. So, for me personally, I think the first time I have a very unique journey, I would say. But basically, I have deep down, ever since I was a child, always felt like I need to stay as close to nature. I've always held this deep belief when it comes to a lot of things. I always felt it when it came to the products that I use, or wearing makeup, all sorts of things. But obviously, I didn't realize the levels and the depths of what that truly means. But it's something that I've always really held on to. So much so that I have never smoked cigarettes. I've never smoked weed. I have never taken any drugs. I Yeah, this is something that I've always been very sure of, adamant on, and I was never interested. It's bad for me. Why would I want to do that? Why do I want to pollute my body like that? Was my way of thinking as a child, and I never changed. And obviously, I think that this is rare. I have met people who are in similar positions, to be honest. But for me, living in London and growing up in the West, it's rare. Most people that I know smoke weed. So, and also in I work in the music industry. You know what it's like. I've worked in hospitality, full of all of that stuff, and I have just avoided it and been very strong in my stance. So I just haven't had to felt the need that I need to explore until one day this ayahuasca came to me. Now, obviously, ayahuasca isn't a drug. I don't even class it as a drug at all in any way. And so that's why I say I haven't done drugs, because I haven't taken those typical ones that people take. But for me, my awakening started in 2014, and then it was really a vast opening for me. And I feel like I learnt a lot in a very short amount of time. It was very, very quick. And then one of my friends was exploring with ayahuasca, and he came back and he just told me about the experience, and something just clicked for me and just went, "You need to do this. You need to go deeper." And so I did. I had an amazing first experience. It was, yeah, filled with movement and dance the whole time. Felt like I was being moved. My body was just being guided. I feel like I went straight to connecting with my higher self, which is something that I took away afterwards, because it was amazing. It just this immediate conversation and connection and communication with my higher self. And after that, I was able to still, you know, just to ask a question and to immediately get the answer, and to intuitively immediately know what I needed to do in any moment, which was amazing. So I had an amazing experience. I didn't think that I was going to explore more with it at all. I just thought, okay, cool. It was a calling. I'm very intuitive and I follow my intuition. That's how I work. And so then after that, um, I think I was traveling in Mexico, and then ended up there somehow, and then I met someone who I had some synchronicities, and for me, my path is always one of following synchronicities. And she was like, "Oh, we're doing the ceremony. It's private for someone's birthday, but if you want to join." And I was like, "Oh, this is why I'm here." And that was a powerful experience, powerful ceremony. I had to rush to the airport afterwards, which wasn't ideal, but it was amazing. Yeah, that's where I found out where I'm from. Wow. I just, yeah. I'm not going to go into so much detail because I feel like I could just talk about this for a long time, and, but I'm sure these things will come up in the conversation that I have with other people. So that was amazing, but I felt a bit strange afterwards, to be honest. But after more meditation, I came back to my usual space, and then I was called back again, another time, and I met some more people. I met this amazing community, and then I came back again after that. Two more ceremonies I had. One of them was way smaller than any of the other ones, which was amazing. Actually, there were, yeah, three more. So all in all, I think I drank ayahuasca 8 times. I've explored with mushrooms, and for me, it was always, always, always a process of my development and my growth and my evolution and the spiritual awakening that I've been experiencing. Always, in any moment. I did a little bit of microdosing as well, and yeah, it was for me. It was just, yeah, always this, experience of myself, and I'm not meaning Jessica Müller, but this universe, this expansiveness, this mystery, and ultimately the healing for myself. And I'd had experienced a lot of problems with my stomach, so I would always come back with this same intention. Anyway, the last experiences that I had were super initiating for me. There was so much of reclaiming and standing in my power. And for me, I would always go to this place where it would just feel like there was a giant in the room and it was shaking the floor. And, you know, I interpreted that as, being able to deal with that fear and discomfort, because it would just appear, would come up. And I can't say that my life was necessarily living in a lot of anxiety. Obviously, through my journey, I realized that I had been, my natural state of being was this stressful and anxious state. And then I did a lot of work on that. So before I even approached this medicine, I had been doing a lot of work. I was meditating every day. 10-15 minutes. But because of my awakening, it was, I don't know, it was powerful. It was fast. I didn't feel like I needed to do it longer. I was already, it was just what I was doing was enough. It was a lot. And so then basically because of that, I feel like I had a big, strong foundation to lean on. And that's why I was comfortable with exploring more, show me something that I haven't experienced already. I've already been experiencing some crazy stuff. My life has been changing, my body's been changing, the way, I see is changing, everything is changing. So, show me what you got. It was more like that. And then, yeah, the last experience I had was so, it was just, it was literally just like stand up and stand in your power, you know, and sit with this, sit with this fear. And it didn't feel like it was my fear. It just felt like it was this huge collective thing. And and the mushrooms as well, it really taught me to just sit with the discomfort, whatever this uncomfortable feeling. Because for me, with both, it was always really intense. Whatever I was experiencing was just heightened, like to the nth degree. It was so much, and you couldn't escape it because that was it. That was you for however long. My experience with ayahuasca was always seemed to be longer than most people's. I was always there at the end while people were falling asleep, like, oh, we're going for another round now. And even been having to deal with that, like, oh, there's no one here, people are sleeping, there's not really anyone here to support me. And then just recognizing it's just me here and the medicine, and then just and then having this like roller coaster of emotions that would come up, and it wouldn't even be related to anything specific. In the end, this is what happened. It wasn't like specific, it was just like oh, yeah. Literally. And so then I had to learn how to just ride the wave. Literally, it was like riding the wave. And then the last ceremony that I had was like I was ship, and I was controlling the ship, and it was really just like, don't be swayed by these emotions. Don't. And what happens is physically, I think what would happen is like my body would move because I was feeling whatever it was coming up. And then a lot of the time I feel like there's so much trauma that had to be released, stuck energy. So I would just shake it all out. Shaking is a lot of the experience that I had. And then basically, um, yeah. And then at the one, yeah. And I finally got to this point where it's just like, be still, calm. Doesn't matter what is going on outside around you, externally, you know, be in the center, find the center and stay there. And I feel like that last ceremony was really showed me that. And there was so much going on around me. My sister was in it as well, next to me, and she was wriggling around the floor, but I was just like, no, stay. And I had not managed to get there yet, which is mad because I feel like, I don't know, naturally, I feel like I'm not so fazed by the external world, but obviously there's always these things. You don't know what it's going to be. But it really taught me that. And the power, standing in the power was also a really, really big part of that. It really was just like, because basically when you're being swayed by all these things and these emotions, or which a lot of the time can be external, then you're swaying off your power. You're not able to be in your power. So yeah, that was huge. And then basically after that, intuitively, I felt like something said to me, it's enough. And I didn't even think, oh yeah, okay, it's enough. But as time progressed, and then we come down to, and then we come to 2020, right? And basically something just said, no, 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 it's enough. And then at that time, one of my friends, Georgie, who I'm going to speak to as well, hopefully on the series, she messaged me and she sent me this link, and she was like, Jess, this stuff is not good. Like, now obviously there was the whole process that was going through. A lot of people went through with that. Like, we're not here to demonize it. We're not here to demonize anything and all of that stuff. That's not the point. But the way the information came up might have been in that way, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's not true. It's like everything that's happening now. It's important to filter through your own antennae. So when she sent me this, I was in resistance, literally. I was like, what is this? I do not resonate. I don't know what it's even though my own internal intuition, my own guidance system was telling me stop. So I stopped, but this information that came didn't resonate with me. So I was like, I'm not sure about that. So I didn't continue, but then it came. This is the way the universe works. It came to me again in another form, which resonated with me deeply, and I realized, okay, I need, yeah, I I need to step away, and I already had. It's fine, but it was a subtle intuition that came first of all, right? And what I had read basically said that psychedelics, plant medicines are amazing for um, exploring through, internal seeking and self development and, that process of, I can't, this word that I'm looking for now, vision questing. And basically, they can help to initiate you and to open locks, things inside yourself and, inside your energy body and all these things, and your open different, I guess, spaces to help open your chakras, right? So it basically said that, but then it said at one point it gets to the point where you need to move on, and the plant is vibrating at a specific frequency, and at one point you can surpass that, and then it doesn't make sense to keep going back. And this just really resonated with me because the other one thing I felt is like every time I went in with the plants, it was so intense. In my life, normally, like it was a drastic change between when I had been in the ceremony and when I was out. And so it was just like, I get the message now. I've got it. I've received it. I've managed to stay neutral in that intense period. It was freaking intense. Like, I can't even tell you. Like, and it wasn't like anything was really happening, but it was just this, the feeling was intense. It was just like constantly, every time in every ceremony. So, um, maybe less so in the first ceremony, but after that, it was just the same thing. And I was just like, okay, cool, I get it. I feel like I've managed to stay still within all of it. Why do I need to keep putting myself in there over and over and over again? It literally became to this point. It was just like, why am I doing this? Then I started to realize, like, actually, life is the lesson. Life will throw you all sorts of things. Everything you need to know is going to be reflected in your experience in your environment, because that's just the way it works. The lessons you need will just come to you, but can you see them? So then I was like, yeah, okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Because really, really, really is thank you. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for everything that I received during that period of time was amazing. The connection to my higher self, all of it. To knowing where I am, who I am, where I come from, like, and I'm not talking about this plane and this earth, but in another way. Yeah, it was just amazing, and puzzles pieces just fit into place, and it was great. I feel like there was always this confusion, like what's going on here. It was fine because I feel like I kind of managed to let go and just fall into the mystery. It's all good. But I realized when I stepped away that that confusion kind of disappeared, and that's when I found base 12 Colontic science, and wow, everything fit into place, and so much started to make sense. And I know so many other people say the same thing. I don't feel like I'm a religious follower of quantic science. I've taken what I needed to. Now I've let go, moving forwards. But it helped so much. And I'm speaking to Jason in the first episode, and I've dived into Buddhism before as well. And Buddhism helps the way that they interpret suffering and how to come out of it is amazing. I find it incredible. All of these different puzzle pieces, I feel like I don't need to have just one. I'm taking what works for me along the way as a seeker on this journey. And the other thing as well, I feel like it does get to a point where you just feel like, okay, I don't need to keep searching in the way that I was before. Obviously, I feel like the journey never ends. It's not like I'm stopped seeking, that's it. But it's like and that was after my first ceremony. It felt like, ah, I'm already here. This is it. There's nothing else, you know? So again, it's like, well, why do I need to keep putting myself through that? Through that. So then the information came, and so basically that makes so much sense to me. I'm not here trying to say, like, oh yeah, I'm looking down on people. That's not the case at all. However, I feel like it is important to have these conversations and to bring up this idea and to highlight that there is another path, that you know what I mean? There is expansion and there is growth and there is evolution. Other things came into it, which I'm sure we are going to speak about later. But for me, it was the impact that taking plants has on your DNA, because yes, it can be amazing initiator to other aspects of self, but then at one point it can also start being unhelpful, and it can start being bad for our own natural process of ascension that we're going through right now. And that's something I learned. It resonates with me. It might not resonate with everyone, but it makes sense to me. So for me, that was a very, very big reason why I was like, okay, yeah, moving forwards. And it's not just plant medicine, it's everything, alcohol, all these crutches that people use, which basically stop us from being able to feel, to be able to naturally go through this process and the healing that is needed. So for me, right now, and since this year, the beginning of this year and last year, there's been a big, deep calling to go back to purity and to purge, to detox. And obviously, it's difficult because the environment, the way we live, it pollutes us in so many ways. But to start, we have to start, because where we're going, what we're creating, this future vision that so many of us have, it doesn't involve all of that. So you know what I mean? We have to start, and when we start, it starts changing our bodies. And so what happened to me? So so one of the biggest things for me is this purity, because recognizing that we don't need all these things, we literally do not need them, and they can be helpful for us in a certain moment of our journey for a certain reason. The right medicine will appear when you need it, but then doesn't mean it needs to be forever. That's just what I've come to realize. That's it. And I've noticed that some people get stuck in there because of coping mechanisms or things. But anyway, here I am sharing a different light. And so one thing for me was purity, everything, cigarettes, weed, all of these things, alcohol. And I gave up alcohol right at the beginning of my awakening, because I had problems with my stomach, to be honest. It also wasn't working. I wasn't getting drunk. It wasn't fun. I never liked the taste of alcohol. I used to go out so much without drinking. People were always so surprised that I'd be the one dancing all night without having anything. And I've always been like that, because I love dancing and I love music. But I did drink and I did get drunk, but then it just stopped working. And so then I just thought, this is no fun. And actually, now realizing that clarity is so much better experience, to have a clear mind, clear heart, like body, to feel good in your body, to be connected to your body, and to experience life present, conscious, to really feel, to experience, and to heighten your senses. And what I realized is that in order for us to heighten our senses, we have to purify our vessel, because those things do not help. They literally do not help. And most of the time when we're going to alcohol or drugs, whatever, it's because we're escaping, we're avoiding, we're trying to. But actually, the healing is in feeling and confronting. And this is just what I've learned through my journey. So, anyway, the other thing to say about that, yeah, I'm so excited to speak to other people about this, because I feel like some people have had similar experiences. It's also something that hasn't really got a framework, and some people don't really know where to put it, and it can be confusing and all sorts of things. So ultimately, the process is an organic evolution that we're going through right now. This is the Great Awakening, it's all part of it. And so when we allow ourselves to just fall into that naturally, then we help. However, sometimes these crutches we use can actually halt that process, and it's not good. It's not good for us in that way. So that's just a little brief introduction for my journey. why I feel like it's important to speak about this. And this kind of things I guess we're going to touch on in this series. I've got a friend Naibu who we're going to really excited to talk to because she speaks about it as in the ayahuasca hijack is how she phrases it. I'm speaking to Jason, who he has a really interesting background because he has studied a lot of Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, so he brings that aspect to it as well, and just about how it's important to have the foundation, the basics, and go back to the self. And then I hope to be speaking to some other people who will also go in a bit further about the science behind it and that process of how it actually can be detrimental to our DNA. And then also other people who've just had the same experience as well and who have been confused by their experiences and then later penny dropping and it making a bit more sense, So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so excited for this series. I feel like I'm going to learn a lot. We're going to learn a lot. It's going to be really cool. And again, I feel like what happens is I will speak about this and then someone will twist it into this black and white paradigm demonizing thing, which I really have to reiterate is not the point. The point is not that. The truth is multidimensional. It's important to see as many angles as we can within it, So many people who are big supporters of plant medicines can say so many different things, I'm sure, about how, Jason even mentions this, about how, but maybe it's because you're not seeing it in this way, or, which, like, yeah, it could be the case, but at the same time, let's align ourselves more with what we know is deep, what we know deep down in our hearts. And another thing as well, we're not demonizing plants, all plants in general, we eat plants. That's not the point. And the connection to nature as well, that's not the point. I think it's just a difference when it's a psychoactive element to it. Then it's not just a plant, And obviously mushrooms and all of these things is the same thing. And I mean, it's fascinating that literally that they exist and we can have access. But the other thing is, what really happens when we take it and when we're in the ceremony? Where are we going? What are we doing? That's one thing that also came up for me. Where are we going? Because this universe, not many people really know how it works, like the science behind the different dimensions and the infinite nature of it. And there are some things that have come up, but you can only take what resonates with you. I'm not here to preach and say this is the way. But the thing is, what I find so fascinating is that the truth is not many people know what's going on here. And even the shamans that I worked with feel like they knew a little bit, but even still, someone once said, if the shaman cannot tell you where you are going, then why are you drinking with them? And I can honestly say that I don't think most of them know. And that's just because that's where we are in our consciousness level collectively. It's not their fault. I'm not blaming anyone, but it's a very good question. And when I say where are we going, I mean dimensionally, dimension wise, where are you taking us? And these questions are just important to ask, important to know, important to piece the puzzle together so that we can figure it out. Yeah. So that's it really. That's my process. This isn't the demonization. This is just the other side. This is what is on the other side of plant medicine. So I hope you enjoy this series. I'm so excited to get started and get talking to people about it as well, and just hearing from other people and their experiences. Thank you.